Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Ghostbusters Afterlife. And this is from director Jason Reitman, who has done Thank You for Smoking and Juno and Up in the Air, and the son of Ivan Reitman, who created the original Ghostbusters and directed that and the sequel back in the 80s and 90s. And you have this film that focuses on Carrie Coon's character and her children, played by Finn Wolfhard and McKenna, who are thrown out of their home and wind up moving into the farm of their late father slash grandfather, who turns out to be Egon, one of the original Ghostbusters, Harold Ramis, rest in peace. And this film focuses on the two young children, specifically McKenna, who starts developing some connections in this small town out in Oklahoma and starting to realize that there's some weird, spooky things going on in this town, and reconnecting with her past and also trying to stop an old friend who is coming back and trying to wreak havoc on our world. And basically this film feels like there's two parts to it. Like, the first 2/3 of this film or so is setting up a new story, and McKenna is killing it as Phoebe. She is fantastic, such a wonderful character too, and very easy to connect to, and even has her little friend podcast played by Logan, who he's just a delight as well, and you enjoy spending time with these two and them trying to figure out these mysteries and figuring out what her grandfather Egon was doing in the small town. And, you get exposition dumps of important information, and, if you've seen the first film, a lot of this stuff already. And there's these ghosts coming, and, they're trying to figure out how to use all of, using Echo 2 and using the ghost pack and the ghost traps and all those different kinds of things. And you also have Finn Wolfhard, who's too busy working at a 50s style restaurant and falling for this young woman played by Celeste O'Connor. And to be perfectly honest, this film could have done completely without them, and I don't think it would really miss them. And then you have Carrie Coon, who's playing the mother, who doesn't have a whole lot of depth. It's just kind of snarky and fun and throughout, until getting to the point where it's just then there's some emotional connection towards the end of the film. And you have Paul Rudd, who's just a lot of fun, and every time he's on screen he's delightful, until you get to the third act of this film, where basically Carrie Coons and Paul Rudd feel like they're just sacrificed to fulfill plot points from the first film. And I feel like the third act of this film really just falls into trying to replicate the first film, and they do it in a really rushed and awkward way, because I think they assume that you know all these beats, so they're like, let's just run through this real quick. And then this isn't really giving away anything, but the original Ghostbusters are in this, and they don't feel like they need to be. And I feel like it is just fan service, and they could have done better by the actual new characters in the film by not even having them come in and even affect the climax of this film. This film does have some very interesting and random cameos towards the end of the film and uncredited performances, which was very interesting, and I don't want to give too much away, so I won't. But the third act of this film, there's a very delicate and genuinely beautiful connection that you have Phoebe connecting with her grandfather, and it's done in such a subtle way, and I think it does have a strong emotional payoff in the third act of this film. But I do feel like this film tries to rehash a lot from the first Ghostbusters, when it could have tried to at least do something a little bit different. It felt fresh, new, and interesting, particularly when Phoebe's on screen, less when the brother's on the screen, unfortunately, or even the mother. But this journey feels like it was kind of undercut for nostalgia by the time the third act rolled around, and it gets big and crazy, and it's setting up for more, which is very interesting. But the music in this film is perfect. It's really capturing the music of the original. Rob Simonson does a fantastic job of bringing in that score and doing something special with it. And this film is pretty well shot. There's definitely a couple of moments where it feels awkwardly edited, but in general, like, the opening sequence in this film is legit pretty scary and creepy and unnerving. And so, like, Jason Reitman's able to deliver some really solid scares here. And then it gets moments where it just gets really, really silly, which some of the tonal issues might shine through a bit at certain points in the film. But in general, I had a lot of fun with Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I love Phoebe. I want to see more of her. She is fantastic. McKenna Grace is really showing that she's a fantastic young actress and has a lot to offer and will be doing some great things moving forward even more. And, you know, I want to see more of her, and it did kind of leave me wanting to see what it might do with the original Ghostbusters moving forward, because it does leave that door open. So we'll have to see. But those are my thoughts on Ghostbusters Afterlife. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.